What's up, guys? My name is Paris, and this is my lovely wife, Nicole, and we are the Rowans.
Today, we want to talk about the importance of having a DTR, not only in your intimate relationships, but in your relationships with your friends and your family. And what I mean by DTR is define the relationship.
Yes, it is kind of a scary acronym, is it not?
A little.
It is?
Yeah.
It is. I think when everybody is like, oh, you had that DTR yet, it's something serious and kind of scary that people typically like, oh, having a DTR, because at least for me, it's kind of like you never know what the person's going to say on the other end when you want to define it. It is a two-way highway.
Right. And about 2 years ago, we decided we were going to have a DTR with our friends. Mm-hmm. And at the time, we had a lot of friends. That makes us sound like we don't have any friends now.
Not anymore.
But what I mean by that is we had a lot of people in our life that we thought were on the same page as us, if you will. And so we just really wanted to share our experience with having defined the relationship with friendships around us and what it looks like, actual examples of how those conversations went and where we are today and why it is so important. So I'll just start off with Paris and I had come to this conclusion that we really wanted to have good, deep, intimate relationships with our friends. You know, we were getting older and having children and just recognized, obviously, sacred time as parents.
Investment. Yep.
Investment. Mm-hmm. But also knowing who is growing and going with you is so important. And as, you know, New Year's come around, everyone's talking about their New Year's goals and expectations and things they're going after. And this is really, truly one of the things that I actually believe is so important, not only for your family, but just for your own well-being and knowing, like, who am I growing with? Who am I going with? And so about 2 years ago, we decided we were going to have these conversations. And so really what it looked like was, hey, Paris, who do we want to be close to in our life? Like, who do we have fun with? Who's like just naturally fun? It doesn't feel like we have to work towards making it happen or making it work. Like, who do we have fun with? Who's in similar life stages? Because life stages are super important for growing and going with you. And so we began to make a list of friends, right? Just a few couples that were like, man, we really like them. We connect with them. They're fun. We're fun. We're just a fun crew, right?
Yeah. We were those people sitting up in bed. Oh, who should be on our list?
It's true. It's so true. And honestly, you know, it all comes down to expectations. Like, the reality is you have an expectation on relationships in your life, whether you know it or not. And those relationships around you have an expectation on you, whether they're expressing it or not.
That's true.
And so we just decided, you know what? Let's just get that expectation out on the table and let's talk about it and let's see if we're on the same page.
No. And really quick, just to put some stuff out there. So I think Nicole highlighted kind of in a way why it's important.
Yeah.
Right. And for some of you, maybe you don't have kids, you know, maybe you have a lot of time on your hands. I don't know. But for us, one of the main things was we are in this stage of life now where we can't just go anywhere. We can't just, you know, just on a how do they put it? Drop of a dime, you know, on a whim, you know, oh, we feel like doing this. And so we go out. Yeah, of course. You know, when we didn't have kids, that was easy. And kids is just one example. It doesn't have to be kids. It can be, you know, a job. You maybe have a job that's very demanding. Yeah. And so all the time your time is now scrunched. And so you find, wow, I don't have a lot of time. And so there's a saying that we used to say is that when you say yes to something else, you say no to something else. So, you know, it's like, what do you do with that hour? You're saying yes to hanging out with this person means that you're saying no to something else that you could be
Yeah.
potentially doing. And so if you have tons of time, maybe that's not quite as applicable. But as soon as you have to start making choices, it becomes a thing where you're like, we're not just super like, oh my goodness, we're just so intentional. We try to be intentional with a lot of different aspects of life.
Yeah.
And so we're not trying to be super judgmental. We're not like, just for the sake of being selective. It became to this terms of like this time where, wow, we actually kind of need to track who we're spending time with and why, and
Yeah.
are these relationships life-giving. And coming from me, like with my personality, and maybe some of you guys can relate, is that I can be very go with the flow. It's like, oh yeah, like they're fun to hang out with, sure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, we just found that, wow, with where we are at in life stage, like Nicole said, we
Yeah.
want something deeper. We want to not just take from something, but also be able to give to a friendship, not just be able to, oh, we'll hang out with them and then them, and
Yeah.
realize no one's really getting anything out of it.
Right.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in as a relatable piece of importance
Yeah,
as to why
and
we do
if
this.
you're single, this might not make a lot of sense because when we were, and what I mean by single is without children or maybe not married, right? Like
Yeah.
when we didn't have kids, we didn't have to strategically think through some of these things because we could get our work done during the
Sure.
day, and every night we could have a game night or we could have friends over or we could go visit people. But when your time, like Paris said, is scrunched, you really have to think through, why am I investing in these people? What's the purpose? Is there a purpose? And what am I getting out of it? But also, what am I giving to it? It's not a meaningless relationship anymore. And so that was really our hearts, right?
sure.
Like that we would make sure that we were investing in something that was long term and purposeful versus just off the whim, right?
For sure. And again, I'll throw it really quick in there. For us, it was kids. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be you. Again, maybe I've met a lot of people that have very demanding work schedules. It's like, I work 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Nothing against that. But it does mean that, wow, your time is very valuable with what you get to do it on your own terms. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and even if you are single and without kids, this is really
Exactly.
incredibly important
Yeah.
for building your future and knowing, again, I use the words grow and go, who you're growing with and who you're going with. It's really important just to know the expectation and the investment that you are sowing into now for your future. And so back to the story. So we wrote down like all these couples. What we were looking for was people in similar life stages, because the reality is like we have lots of mentors that are older than us and in a different life stage with the ages of their kids or whatever. But those aren't people that we're hanging out with on Friday and Saturday night. Like we're not going to the fair with our kids and their kids together.
Sure.
So we wanted to find out, the first thing was people who were in similar life stages. So for us, we have 4 kids, 4 and under. At the time we had 3 kids, 3 and under. And we wanted to know who's in a similar lifestyle that we have a natural connection to. Right. And it didn't mean they had to have 3 kids the same age.
I was about to say that.
It just meant like, no, they're probably in their young parenting season, if you will. So they'll get, like, if we go to their house and our kids are making a mess or, like, being loud and wild, we're not like, you haven't been in this stage for 15 years. No, we just wanted to know, like, we're in similar stages. And again, a lot of our friends are actually quite older than us. And so it's not that those who are not in similar life stages are immediately exempt from this conversation. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, when you first write down this list, when you're going to engage in a DTR conversation, you want to think about who's in a similar life stage and who do I naturally connect with. And so that's what we began to do. And okay, I have a shocking story, but do you want to share one of the stories about one of the dinners?
No, not yet. I'll let you go first.
Okay,
I'll let you go first, because this is where it actually gets good. I think we've hit like all the preliminary stages of this is how we set it up and this is how we came to this conclusion. And so now we're getting actually to the meat of like, what does a DTR actually look like once you've made this list per se? And you don't have to make a list, but of people that you might think, oh wow, I really want to invest more time in this person
Yeah.
or people or however it
Yeah, yeah.
works.
Well, and I think it's important to make a list. Like, do you remember
No,
that
for
we would
sure.
make those New Year's lists?
Oh yeah,
Do you remember that? So I
yeah.
would print out, I'm so intense. I would print out these like lists of like, what was our last year goal and what did we not accomplish and what's our next year goal and like list 3 things and who's 4 couples to be praying for and who's like, I kind of went a little overboard. You don't have to do that, okay?
It's all right.
you,
It's all right. You can
you
always
can,
go there and then kind of scale back
that's
rather
true.
than never get there.
You can write down like, okay, here's 3 couples, 4 couples, whatever number you're comfortable with. There's no like, this is the way to do it.
Right.
As long as you're engaging in these conversations and you're willing to go there, I think that's the biggest thing, right?
It's
So,
true. It's true.
okay, so I'll tell you about one dinner that we had.
Tell me.
Our style, because a lot of people have asked, I posted this on Instagram, and a lot of people asked really specific questions. How did this happen? And what questions did you ask? And did the other couple know? And where
That's
were
the
you?
juicy
And
stuff. That's
what's
the
the
good stuff.
environment?
That's what they're looking for.
That's right. So that's kind of some of the details I want to give you. So we love hosting people. We love having, dinner parties and having people over for dinner and serving people their meals. And so we put our kids to bed and we had a dinner. And most of these conversations, we probably had like 5 couples though, because y'all, we went from like a really large group of friends to like, what is the Lord saying for us in this season?
Mm-hmm.
So we would have a meal, invite people over, and some of these conversations, they wouldn't know what we were doing. And it wasn't weird. It wasn't sneaky. It wasn't like strange. We would just ask questions such as, what is fun for you when we hang out?
Yeah.
And so if we get a response like, well, we love, coming over and hanging, we're just so energized when we hang around you all, and we just leave so inspired, or we just leave feeling loved on, or we just leave feeling rested, or we just love game nights, we would kind of know that they're kind of in a similar space as us.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? But if they didn't have a response, or if they didn't seem to be able to answer some of these questions in the way that we would answer them to show the expectation of engagement and relationship, then we would know not to go further. Okay. So some of these conversations that you might have with people in your life that you're excited to go further with, meaning in friendship, in knowledge of one another, in family, some of those conversations, you might ask a question and just be like, wow, we are so not on the same page. And that's what was eye-opening, was there were several conversations that we had where we were like, we would move to a commune with these people. Like, we would sell everything and move with them because we love them and we want to see a future raising our kids together and having a garden and, all this stuff. But we would know pretty immediately, like, whoa, they're not on the same page as us. But there was one conversation that I always remembered that I thought was really funny. I hope I can share this.
Yeah.
So there's one story that I want to tell you about that I think is okay. We've kind of discussed this, but there was one story where we went to dinner with a couple whom we thought we were in great relationship with. And we actually had committed to this couple in some areas of ministry and work and friendship. And so we're at dinner one night, and I remember we were in like the DTR season. We're having these conversations. And Paris says to this couple, he says, I feel like we are in a covenant relationship, just given the ministry that we do together, the work that we do together, and, where we are with our families. And immediately you saw the shock over one of the people's faces. I won't tell you if it was a male or female, but over one of their faces. And I was like so stoked for this conversation because I'm like, these are our people. Like, we're going to live with them for 50 years, like meaning in relationship and do life and raise our kids and blah, blah, blah. And so when Paris said, we actually feel really committed to you. We feel like we're in covenant with you, which is really a Christian terminology for a deep, intimate relationship that's beyond
it's like a deep tie,
just to hang out. Yeah, it's a deep friendship, and so a deep tie. That's good. And I remember sitting there, and it was like I was so excited to have this conversation, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, they don't feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in the background. He was having the conversation. He was leading it. But I remember being like so pumped, right? Like, yay. And then like, oh, whoa, oh, they don't feel the same way.
Yeah.
And the person's response was, whoa, you feel like what? Wow, that's pretty extreme, or that's
pretty strong or something.
strong, yeah.
Strong, something like that.
And I, in that moment, recognized not only the importance of these conversations, but also why we have to have these conversations in order to know who we grow with and who we go with.
Mm-hmm.
Because our expectation for probably 2.5 years at that point was that these were our people.
Yep.
If we had a flat tire, those are the people we were calling.
Yep.
If we had an emergency.
That's always your go-to.
I know. Because who wants to wake up at 4 a.m. with a phone call? Like, I have a flat tire. Can you drive an hour to get me? Like, that's how I know you're committed.
Every single time I ask Nicole, I'm like, who's a good friend to you? The friend that will come at 3 a.m. to help me with a flat tire. That's
Which I've never had a flat tire, by the way. Like, praise God.
Those are your go-to.
But, all that to say, like, we recognized in some of those conversations, and specifically that one, like, oh my gosh, our expectation was quite different than theirs. Like,
yeah.
Even what you would have thought we were further along, right? Just in relationship than what we were.
Yeah. Or I don't know about further in relationship, but just maybe deeper, faster, something like that.
Yeah.
And here's the reality is that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that, we're talking about friendships right now. I realize that DTRs are also common in romantic relationships, and stuff like that. And so when things are on the line like that, that's when the questions become hard, because it's almost as though we don't really want the answer, or you don't want to put yourself out there like that because of responses like that. You're like, wow, I'm really invested in this friendship or this relationship or boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever stage, even man and wife, we communicate things like that at stages of a relationship. And sometimes we find out when we're honest that the other person or persons aren't on the same level as you. Yeah. But I mean, it's also not great in terms of connection for always going through that, always like this, on completely different levels. And I'm not saying that you always have to be synced up. Like, you don't always have to be just like that at every single stage,
Yeah.
Sometimes it does happen like that, and maybe in certain areas of life. But as it pertains to this friendship that we were pursuing together with, this other couple, sometimes it does require, and it can be scary to just put that out there on the line. It's like, hey, and this is what Nicole's talking about, is that expectation.
Yeah.
Is that, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we see all of us right now at this table, per se. And sometimes you get responses like that. And it's like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That could be a response. And the reality is, though, I don't think that you need to be discouraged in that moment, or necessarily even encouraged, because it comes to the point where maybe they're still processing.
Yeah. And
so they're like, wow, that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
I wasn't there with you, but hey, I'd really like to be, and or it could be the opposite, where it's like, I'm putting this out there and like, okay, wow, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's from there that you get to explore more into that conversation. And I think through those conversations, that's where that relationship builds. And then you can build that platform or that foundation from that point. And so I think, again, a lot of us, I'll admit to it, like, that's a hard place for me to go. Mostly because it can make the other person feel uncomfortable, and I naturally don't like that.
And I like to go there.
And she likes that.
Let's get uncomfortable. Let's get raw. Let's just talk about this, because I'd rather know and be uncomfortable for 10 minutes, an hour, than continue to do life with people who are not on the same page as you. Right. And so I think just like giving some practicals when you're in that conversation, like, if you're watching this and you're thinking like, well, how do I have that conversation? Like, is that awkward to start? No, I think, you have people over like you would just normally have people over, probably one couple at a time. That'd be weird if you had multiple couples, maybe.
We're all here.
I know, for a reason.
We're going to start with you.
But I think you just said, like, hey, we've really been evaluating, our New Year goals, or we've been evaluating just our life stage. And, we don't have a lot of time. We don't, with our kids or, with our job or with whatever it may be, we don't have a ton of time. And so we just kind of wanted to have a conversation tonight about what our relationship can look like moving forward, because we really value you and we love, you being in our lives. And, when it comes down to like how many people we can hang out with, like the reality is we can hang out with like 3 people maybe a month. Like however it may be.
So what you're really here for is did you make the cut?
Stop. But you can just say it simply like that. Like, just be real and honest. Like, everyone can understand or hopefully understand, like, wow, they're actually looking for deep connection. Or maybe they think you're weird and they're not your people. So bye. I don't know, but really it's to see, like, okay, are we on the same playing field? And what does that look like? I remember having a conversation with a girlfriend who we hung out all the time because we went to the same gym. Our kids were the same age. We did a lot of stuff together, she and I, but her husband was not super involved in the family, or was only interested in his immediate family, wasn't interested in friendships outside. And so I, on several occasions, had tried to plan couples dinners, and we were like, we'll get a sitter, we'll come to you, we'll bring dinner, like whatever it is, to be easy, just to connect, just to have, some 2-on-2, both couples, yeah. Right? And I remember she said to me, like, he's not really into couples things. He just wants to hang out with the family all his free time. And she was being honest, and I respected that. But what it said to me was, you're not going to grow and go with these people as a couple.
Yeah.
Now, she could have been my friend continuing on, and we were. But I knew in that moment we're not going to be the type of friends where we both have this relationship.
Yep.
So now my friendship can only consist of me hanging out with her. It can never consist of my husband coming along. You know what I mean? So some of those conversations you may not even need to have. You may just ask a simple question like, hey, Can we do, a dinner? And then make it pretty clear, like, my husband is just starting a business, or he works too many hours, or he's just not into that. He's super introverted, doesn't want to be around anybody. And then you just kind of know. You're like, okay, well, now I know. But for those people that you actually do gel with and mesh with and want to grow and go with, you get to engage in those conversations, and you can start it however you want. You can say, hey, these crazy people on YouTube and Instagram told me to have a DTR with my friendships. And start it like that. We just want to know that we're growing and going in the same place. And hear me say, like, you don't have to be in the same field of work or, again, have the exact same life situation. But proximity is super important, as well as just life stage. I think that, if you live in, several states away, it's just a little different. It's not going to be the same type of relationship.
Sure.
And if your kids are in vastly different stages, it makes it different just naturally. So having those conversations can look like any way you want it to, but to be able to have those is important.